to keep an eye on to Rika and see the consistency throughout the tournament.
Well, let them begin. Let's see how Rika goes here. I love RKR, the abbreviation. Like, nah, it's too much to fit in, isn't it? All right, Jace banned on blue side. That's a first for me. Going up against who? That was an option on red side counter pick, but still it's an early ban away as they've done their homework for Besiktas' side. The Kalista we talked about off the table as well. Skewmon not getting the volley bear, I think is a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like Vi, Maokai have been the name of the game in general. Yep. They've been bad both from blue and red side. And let's see what they're going to choose to go for here. Because Rika, we've seen a lot of Talia B1s in general. It really works, and it's going to be the case here for BDSA.
Yeah, really good call. Okay, well, the favorite of Rika gets picked up. Another jungle pairing we'll see, because on the other side for Besiktas, this has been a team that's looked best with things like the Xin Zhao as well. Jinx also left on the table if we want to start looking at lane swap. And actually, mentioning that, it's interesting because I didn't expect that we'd get as many lane swaps here today. But we don't have any of the usual bans away, like the Sion, the Lulu. The Jinx also left up, and Besiktas take it away.
And I don't know if I like this, specifically for Kaori in the bot lane, because usually the things like Kalista, Varus, more lane-dominant champions that will take control of that early game. And I was wondering, because we're talking about BDSA, how they don't like to lane swap. However, they will react to it 100% of the time. But if you look over to Besiktas, they've got a top player that, sure, he plays a bunch of tanks, right? He's played the Sion, he's played the Ornn, but he mainly likes to play the more bruiser in your-face type of champions, like the Nectons, the Aatroxes, where he's played Rumble as well.
We expect versatility out of both of them as well. There's Renekton this side for Genax to run into game number 1 with the Sejuani as well. Strong top side to build up for BDSA.
You know, this is probably the point where Besiktas has to sort of decide if they're going to be lane swapping, because if you're not lane swapping, these guys have a very potent jungle top duo that can actually take you down. Use that Renekton in the early game is such a huge tool, especially around the objectives. So I think Besiktas here have to decide, potentially even drop their top laner for 4-5, which they have done here, looking in the Aurelion Soul.
Because the Aurelion Soul comes through. Now, the Dest didn't like this too much. It was a bit flippy in the last series, and for Besiktas, Miru got caught out a lot on some of these control mages, so it's up to him to see how he can alleviate the early game so far. The trouble already mentioned to you at home, the top lane has been dropped here. We're going to see which direction BDSA go. But the other side, though, bot side not picked up, so Besiktas had their pick of the litter to see what AD carries they want to ban away.
Ooh, Varus already banned away from Kadui. I'm thinking of things like Kadui has been a great Tristana enjoyer as well. And we saw Tristana in the series yesterday, actually, whether it was picked mid lane or bot lane, it had such a huge impact in the game. It feels like that shove and push that it gives to allow you to invade into the jungle, to allow you to take control of these rivers for the neutral objectives is huge. So I wouldn't even be surprised if I saw Kadui in one, on a pick like this.
Because he's already missed out on things like the Varus, the Ashe support going along with it, so some of the lane advantage picks are taken out. We might get something again that has a similar scaling elements and again can build on the range. Nautilus, an engage tool taken away from Besiktas. We've already got some setup here in the mid game for BDSA, but for Besiktas, the early game looks a little bit slow here. What pairs up with the Xin Zhao? What can Pikesteer get on now that Rel and Nautilus are taken away?
I'm expecting here to see potentially a top lane pick, because you know you're already playing into the Renekton. And if you choose to go for the lane swap right here, we might see Hoon go towards things like an Ornn, a Sion, or a Zac. However, if he wants to take the matchup into the Renekton, we could potentially see things like the Cassante or the Aatrox coming out for him.
Oh, yeah.
All of these are champions that he has played, but I think it's going to be very indicative on what they want to do towards the top side of the map. If it is going to be the Rek'Sai, I don't expect a lane swap from Besiktas. Rex is a very potent champion when it comes to laning on the top side of the map, especially versus bruisers or tanks.
I mean, again, it's lost a lot of its sustain too, so any kind of lane swap would be riskier, considering that the Rek'Sai top has been a miss by many teams left in the league, many teams in playoffs, I should say, as there's not many left overall. So Rek'Sai gets locked in. That means we have counterpick support here for Besiktas, but for BDSA, I mean, bot sides have been left to a minimum.
No way.
Playing for a strong 2v2. This is what's left, but a lot of teams in LEC, in Europe, and regions that are not LPL and LCK struggle to play this well.
If you turn nameplates completely off, I would tell you that Besiktas is probably on the left, and that BDSA are on the right, because Lucian Nami pretty much fits the profile of Kaori, wanting to play for those early games. His Kalistas, his Varuses, anything that can shove you or play hard for that early game advantages. And right now, Kedui and Powers, they're playing the Lucian Nami. However, we have not seen it as potent in Europe as we have seen it over in the Eastern world. And I would love to see how they get out of lane, because it's not particularly the case of get that Lucian ahead in the early. Even if he's even, I feel like this champion in the mid game is such a menace.
But how certain is this? Like this game number 1 draft, as you said, feels like we've flipped the script a little bit here. But BDSA playing pure mid game. There is no scaling here. It is all about the first 20 to 30 minutes of the game and how they bring the tempo to it. On for Besiktas, excuse me, there is so much range that comes in late game, so much scaling. I think it's easy to say that, like, well, timer for BDSA to again play their strong early game that we highlighted in the past.
It's fine. You know, Besiktas lose fast or win fast. BDSA also win very fast in their victories. So having a very strong early to mid-game spy composition is going to be absolute game for them. And I feel like BDSA have all the tools and every single lane has so much setup. That Sejuani ganking is going to be so pivotal. So I feel like all eyes on Skewmund and how he's going to path into the early game, which lane he's going to choose to path towards, because pathing towards your Lucianami is the most common thing we have seen. You've got a lot of pressure through that bot lane. You can also cause invades to happen towards that bot side of the map. However, you do have a very strong duo if you go towards the top side of the map and play towards that red.
You just came off LPL Finals as well, and I'm just thinking, a level 3 dive from BLG with Lucianami. I'm not sure if it was the same game. I think it was with the Maokai, I remember. All hands on deck. I was like, well, this looks like a sus dive. They traded 1 for 1, but it was about that aggression bot.
Death taxes, Shun diving bot lane level 3.
I expect Skewmon, just set up to do the same thing with the Sejuani. You've got multiple
European
angles.
Shun?
Yeah, European Shun. I didn't know that's how Skewmon spelt his name outside of the country. I have to say, though, how many options do you have? Like Talia level 6 as well, like Genax as well with Sejuani, such a nice pairing for topside. There are so many options for BDS that we kind of came into this in trouble to paraphrase you at the start. You're like, well, as you've said, this Turkish team win or lose quick. BDS win quick as well. But we expected this to be either a quick series or just a bloodthirsty one. I think Game 1 draft sets up for it so damn well.
Absolutely. I'm getting a little worried for Besiktas. However, in terms of development, when we look at teams in general in playoffs at EMEA Masters, we have seen so many teams just step up and clean out their early game. And if they don't get pulled apart on the map right here from BDSA, their scaling is impeccable. There's no way they're going to lose. In terms of like execution, front to back, damage dealt, in all terms of execution and damage, scaling is on their side of Besiktas.
That's why it's going to be up to Osman to see how he can bring in Game 1 and keep the pace at a minimum. Besiktas versus BDSA, our semi-final of our upper bracket. Well, excuse me, the upper side of our bracket, I should say. Eintracht are already waiting in the grand final. It's Spandau Pride that are waiting to see who they verse. The LFL second seed or the Turkish second seed as well, the TCL. I mean, it would be such a big deal for Besiktas to get to that grand final. For LFL, they've already got so much pride. As Osman with an audacious charge in. Rika with a trade himself, but not much going to be taken here as Miro can't get the Comet for the range advantage.
A bit of an early game coverage. Towards the top side quadrant of Osman's jungle. We're expecting both junglers, of course, to start from the top side of the map and end up towards the bot. I feel like a lot of the pressure that will be redirected towards that bot lane will dictate a lot of the invades and the pathing for the junglers early on. I feel like Sejuani would have a pretty happy life pathing towards that bot side of the map. And if Kedui and Powers do have the first push, you can actually invade Xin Zhao in his jungle and throw him out.
Yo, hold a second. Lethal tempo Xin Zhao, by the way. Normally, Conqueror is from what I've seen. I don't know if I've been hiding under a rock and I've just not seen this before. But Osman has decided to flare up and just show us what Lethal Temple Xin Zhao can do in a game.
Someone has to carry the early game, you know?
Yeah, okay.
And Lethal Tempo is a pretty good rune. A lot of champions like Nocturne, for example, that has a lot of auto attacks, also uses Lethal Tempo.
True. Great dueling. Further to your point.
A lot of junglers here, if they're expecting to be invaded, usually what happens when you're on red side, and right here you'll see that Kedui and Powers have the first level 2 and they will get into this trading early on. A lot of junglers, what they'll do is they'll clear their top side of the map, press B, go base, get a BF sword. Not a BF sword, sorry, you can't.
No, that's a very impressive first clear.
Okay, get a long sword and enter your bot side jungle ready to fight. So Osman could be in this situation right here. He knows he's been spotted by the ward as well.
And we're expecting push to come down bot side as well. I think that's a really important point. How Xin Zhao can impact the map and find an advantage and split himself up an early game that works in their favor. Now for topside, we have to pause because Genax has a massive wave. Misses Cannon. I'm glad you paid attention to it. But Hoon takes a bit of damage. Fury build-up is nice, though. And for Genax, as he reaches level 3, gets a push in, will be denied the demolish. But you can see the pressure's already building up in the 1v1 alone.
The sadness of being a top laner though, right? Your jungler's buffing away from you. That was a very nice and juicy wave to actually pull a dive towards the top side of the map, deprive Hoon a little bit of that XP. However, you know that Xin Zhao is going to be towards the bot side of the map, so the second you show top, your bot lane is going to be very vulnerable. And Kedui and Paris were already shoved in way too hard.
Rika, really nice trading there, but I think sidestep from Mira is big. You mentioned the cancel bot side for Kadui just as he's backing in base, but or rather in brush. BJK with a ward in that spots him out, and now that the wave resets as well, we can see no dive was taken, no build-up, and no stack towards the turret to give options either for Skumond or a response for Osman to come in for the counter. So instead, junglers looks like they reset here, Trouble. Pretty basic start, and heading towards mid to see if they can pivot. Maybe up towards this top side as, oh, wait, Hoon is very deep, has to tunnel out, excuse me, baited by Rek'Sai. Not the first one, but not going to be the last either.
Ah, lovely. We're actually seeing top lane matchups.
It's a game!
We're seeing top laners trade. We're seeing top laner versus top lane. We don't see necessarily tank versus tank. And Genax right here has absolutely the upper hand of this blind Renekton. Well, Kadui is trading very aggressively.
Really Prison, no, wait. Could be a kill, The flash away, the auto is not enough. Paris gets close as now with the ghost popped as well. Kaori thinks he can get the trade back, but the 2v2 working out for BDSA as we expected.
Absolutely, and here's where you can actually walk in, set some vision down. You'll see Paris has put down a wood into this Tribos as has been picked out by Besiktas. But they do get to pressure in a wave, and right here the Besiktas bot lane have to actually respect that. That means bot lane for BDSA get the first roam onto the map. Huge tempo for the French, Swiss rather, organization from the LFL. And that's what we expect in general when we see Lucian and Ami. We expect them to pressure in opponent lanes. However, we did say that BDSA like to play aggro in the early game. And right here, I feel like their trigger point is going to be that level 6. Having the Renekton, Zuan, and Talia ultimate are going to be huge for a lot of the exchanges onto the map. The Rift Heralds, the Void Grubs early on is going to be something that the team will be looking for.
I mean, how good's the level 6 all round as well? Lucian Nami all in, that comes from the bottom side too, is absolutely massive. Now, you're pointing out to me that the Nami's actually moving towards mid, so seeing if they can sync up here, off Rika getting the shove mid, to see if they transmit that into what? Bot side? Where do you want to go?
It's a double crab. They have shove in the mid lane, they've got Paris roaming first because of the early tempo reset towards the bot side of the map, and Sejuani here is double crabbing a Xin Zhao. That is great early game stuff from BDSA.
Yep. I mean, for Skumond as well, we've already sung his praises throughout the tournament. This guy's been hyper aggro as well, and I love against the Xin Zhao. As you were just pointing out, let's go a step further. Onto the Gromp right now. It's going to be taken by Osman, but he's level 4 versus level 5. Paris gets the push up. Kadui is going to get a plate here and get the shove in. Acro Prison with a good kite back, but an all-in Arctic assault from Skumond begins the play. Now, Osman backs away, and they've got the bottom lane to help out, but still you can see the pressure from bot is starting to build up.
Yeah, absolutely, and something that we didn't actually see on the map right here. Rieker had the first move from mid lane as well. The second he dipped into Fog of War, you saw Kaori and Paxia that were hugging their tower for dear life. They could not play that 3v3 in the jungle. So great pressure right here generated by BDSA in the early game. They have accumulated themselves 5,000 gold lead just by pure pressure and CS difference.
And CS difference on the top side as well, I think, is helping with that a lot. 20 right now is the lead. Now, there is an elevated wave top, but for Genax, he's just done such a good job of zoning off Hoon, it feels like. Getting an isolated lane, as you said. Junk was nowhere nearby. Poor Hoon, we had to cry for him at the start of the game. And it feels like now maybe we have to cry for bot side, but Pyke might be caught out. Aqua Prison great again, but they have to disengage. No level 6 to make the plays. The Light Slinger gets damage down, but they're all in on Paris. The setup, the audacious charge, and an excitement built up by Kaori. Kadui at half HP as the Light Slinger helps out again, but Skumond in the nick of time was left behind. Almost a clutch play. You could see Kiro was feeling himself, but ends up getting traded away. Skumond, another reset there as the Weaver's Wall brings it on in. Pyke is out okay, but Osman is not. He gets shoved back, flinged away. Rika comes in and gets one himself. And the return play, the map play, is great from BDSA.
Level 6 was the trigger point. Kedui goes in instantly. You have Rieker coming in from the top lane as well. Overall, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of BDSA. Let's watch this play again. Lucian Nami, a very potent duo when it comes to the pure 2 versus 2s. I feel like Kedui and Paris here could have gotten the kill onto Paxia then backed off. They both had flashes to get away from Osman. However, they didn't want to overextend. Rieker was still pushing his wave mid. He could not connect, and Skumon was a little further away. So maybe this is why the delay a bit on the kill right there. Kaori almost getting the clutch flash, but ends up going down, and Rieker with the late roam manages to catch Osman, who had to flash to get the previous kill. So overall, a pretty positive play by BDSA. They get to shove in the wave as well with the help of the Sejuani and the Talia.
I think the wave is the big point as well, right? More denial for the Jinx Gold. In fact, maybe the bounce back is more important because CS right now is even, but it looks like there again is a built-up of CS in the bottom side. Now, I want to point out the gold has fluctuated a little bit. BDSA 700 gold lead in the early game, but at least the one takeaway you get from that as Besiktas is that First Blood went over to the Jinx. Right, Kaori picked up the first kill on this Jinx that is a reliable method of scaling for them in this game. And Trouble, as you said in the draft as well, like this comp is going to be an absolute behemoth in the late game. So at least balancing out the play a bit there has to be good news for the TCL.
Yeah, and after, hold on,
good news for mid though. I was just talking about it. Mira getting caught out through mid.
Flash.
Does survive and doesn't flash away. Keeps the summoner in the end.
You know, cold-blooded right there. It's both the knock-up and the ultimate from the Sejuani and the Talia, the whole combo. Plus, Osman is also doing the void grabs. I'm not gonna lie to you. Usually my question with teams that scale too hard in the late game and that don't have that much proactivity in the early is how much are you willing to lose to then turn it around? I feel like right here, Besiktas are doing quite fine. They managed to get 3 void grabs onto the jungle as well. That's a big influx in gold and experience. Obviously, when you're doing neutral objectives and the opponent jungler is farming, you're going to fall behind about half to 1 level behind, which is the case here between Skewmont and Osman. However, denying these void grabs from BDSA that have very heavy sideline win conditions with the Renekton and the Talia is pretty huge.
That's a really good point, especially with how well they're doing in the individual lanes. And even the bot, right, denying it from the Lucian Nami, who have already picked up 2 plates bot side as we shift the camera over. So I love the point, I love the denial, and I love the fact that Osman is once again on an early game jungler, more proactive than the Maokai as well, can do a lot more in the first 10 minutes of the game. And we kind of saw that trade-off in the draft as well. The priority, they were like, hey, put Osman on something that can help mitigate the stress that we're going to feel in the early game.
Now, that's a little bit contrasting from what we've been seeing from Besiktas, because usually they play the more dominant bot lanes, and they tend to get their first dragons, then they stack them up due to that fact. However, this time around, it is BDSA with the first dragon, and we have seen a lot of teams, especially when you're playing on a timer like BDSA are, they want to be forcing those early game team fights. Therefore, stacking the dragons as early as possible, forcing it to get to the solo soul point as soon as possible, you're forcing Besiktas to fight you, no matter if they have the item completions or not.
And I mean, again, I think for BDSA, there's just great temperament that we've seen all tournament long as well. 1.6k gold lead, by the way, as Paris now roams towards mid. I bring up the gold because it's slowly inching forward. There's slow moves in this game that are starting to build up pace each time we come back from a reset. Genax, for example, topside with the pickaxe, still leading in the individual lane. Cullen comes through with a static shift Lucian that almost forces Kaori out of the lane, while it looks like supports are roaming in the meantime.
Yeah, you've got 4 members of each team sort of hovering towards the bot side of the map. You see that Miro sort of hovering in fog of war, not seeing. This is where BDSA actually have to respect their pulling teleports.
Okay, so they want to go for the all-in, but Kadui is already out. Osman gets active pressing, he flashes it though. Audacious charge in. It's huge as Paris gets the tidal wave out, but the Aurelian solo makes short work of it. Pressing guard to buy time as well, but the seismic jump back puts him in range. Well, meanwhile, Kadui is left on an island. He flashes over the big part of the wall though. Somehow, some way manages to disengage, but now playing front to back almost. He comes back in to secure his own kill. It was a long one, but in the end, BDSA come out on top again.
Absolutely. They've got the more early game damage in their hands, right? You mentioned the static shift on the Lucian. You've got Talia with incredible burst damage, and right now, Besiktas bot lane are going to be in a lot of trouble. The wave is about to crash. Skewmont is full HP.
There's no culling, there's no summoners available. They need Skewmont to come in. Maybe it's just for the pressure on the turret, but the teleport says otherwise. Spikes the Aaron Kaori. Now with low mana bars and a light sling around, a Skewmont kill. Osman here to back it up as it is a trade-off in the end, but Skewmont picks up a double. It's getting a little bit messy, but at least BDSA have some backup in. Osman won't continue on as Paris and Rika threaten, but in the end, the bottom lane still goes down from Besiktas. Thomas in the top side. Don't think he's going to go anywhere else. It's still a win.
All in all, the true loser from this one is going to be the Jinx. There was another huge wave that was about to crash underneath the tower. Can't get the XP in the CS. Now here, Osman flashes the bubble and engages. He's a bit too far forward, and that was a fantastic presence from the Sejuani to stop Miru. Kadui is taking the attention. Sorry, I was trying to find the word. The attention of 3 members while they're killing the Zinzao, and then they turn it around. I feel like item disparity right here is what played a huge part in this particular skirmish. Also, let's remember that the Jinx started this fight with about 30 to 40% HP because Kedui had chunked him down before that. And then again, the redive, a little bit late, in my opinion. You knew that Zinza had already spawned. He was sprinting it from base, so he was going to eventually get there. Skewmon is the one, the beneficiary from the double kill. However, again, you look on your mini-maps, and again, a huge wave crashing underneath that tower. Kaori loses the CS, loses the experience from it.
As we come back to live, I mean, we saw an attempt at diving Genax, or at least getting the push in. He flashed away. You are looking at 80 carry levels, aren't you?
I am.
There is a difference.
This guy has died 2 times, and there were 2 huge waves both times.
Yeah, further to your point, at the end of that, you said, like, well, the Jinx dies again, right? Second death that comes through, and there was a kill trade in the first one. Nothing that time. With that CS differential comes the experience as well. Comes the trade-off as we look towards mid in the meantime. Reliant Soul is going to fly through. Good dissension, but a permafrost, a flail out. Skewmon is taking all the kills this game, but I don't mind it with how well he's playing on this gank.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can I interest you in carry Setsuani?
Hell yeah.
Straight into the jungle of Osman. Well, finds Hun, and just a little reminder, Rek'Sai is really good against tanks, and especially when he's 1 level up as well. So Skewmon's just going to walk in, going to spider away the camp, and try to see if he can find anything else, whilst Osman towards the bottom of the map, obviously shadowing that bot and taking the tower. All in all, it's going to be 1-0 for BDSA in terms of kills, but even in towers. 1 top lane and 1 bot lane is going to go down for each team.
But we come back to live, and it's 3.5 gold difference at 14 minutes in the game. And just taking stock, like those bot dives over and over, put the ball in the court of Besiktas where, you know, again, to paraphrase, you're talking about like they're not ready yet, they're not there yet. And this game keeps speeding up to the point now where Lucian almost 2 items, Talia almost 2 items. We got a Knight's Vow coming through from Skewmon. Genax with Eclipse early as well. Going to have a lot of that dive ability with the shield that comes through from the new item. It's just looking so hard to play against BDSA as we're now approaching the 15-minute mark.
I'm not going to lie to you. If that 1k gold lead between the 2 junglers was more into the Talia or the Lucian, I'd be saying, yeah, this might not look very good for Besiktas. I'm not sure how they're going to turn this around. However, this is on their tank. They're going to use the Rift Trail here for some mid-lane pressure.
It's gone.
Assuming they're just going to bleed that into the river to get the next dragon. And this is what's going to become problematic, right? The early stacking of the dragons. Skewmon, that's not how you drive this, mate.
It's definitely not. That guy. Revoke his license. Take it away from him. By the way, Kedui has definitely watched Elk recently and thinks he is him. I mean, I love it. Not to giving him any flame. This guy is playing aggressive, as we criticize with EU
we have
Lucian
European Shun and European Elk in the same team?
Bro, is that... We got Yigal. Let's find out, because it looks like there's a fight after the fact. There's a permafrost, a glacial prison, and it seals the tomb of Doom. Great Aurelion Solo, though, Genax already burnt the ulti in the bot side, so he's down without a fight. Hoon in the backline buys some time, but it's his life for the will of many. A shutdown for Miro, but on the other side, Kedui gets a kill. It's a flash, Arctic Frost, and Skewmon gets zapped on the way out. Now for Rika, no shut back as Kaori spaces it in, almost gets hit. This Aurelion Soul might be ending. No, Miro, what are you doing? Miro, wait, is it a play? No, it's not. Miro, that was a little bit in. I take it all back. It's just gone to hell in a handbasket. And I think right now Besiktas are getting shipped in that handbasket as a coffin.
I'm not going to lie to you. Miro had a play and a dream. And I feel like had his team backed him up there, it could have been a completely different result. Now, Genax here gets absolutely blown up. This Renekton does not have ultimate, so the second he gets caught, Eclipse, very squishy Crocodile, ends up going down. However, you see how Hun is trying for his life to keep 4 members' attention from the side of BDSA and ends up going down. Now, Skewmon is unironically going a little bit too far forward here. You see BDSA cannot actually keep up with the pressure. They cannot follow up. I think Miru actually found a pretty good play. You see, Faxia actually had flashed earlier into this play because he does have the mana, so had he flashed earlier, we could have seen more kills go away. What I take from this fight is, yes, BDSA won this in the 6,000 gold ahead, but it was way too close for Comfort while being 6,000 gold ahead.
I mean, look, for BDSA, I will say, in hindsight, looking after that, you know, having to fight afterwards without Genax ulti, with a lot of tools down, was nice window for Besiktas, but We come back to life. We're right back where we started. Bottom side turret going to go down. That is the last of the outer turrets on the map as well. And at 17 minutes, we move back over the 6K margin. We move to an almost 3-item Lucian. 2-item Talia about to come through, especially with this pick onto Kaori. 3-level difference. Seismic Shot flashed away from, and the Glacial Prison. So Skumon's ulti is down. Rika's is down as well. Is there anything Besiktas can find on the back end, even being so far behind after those tools are off?
That's absolutely perfect. Again, in 2.5 minutes almost, it's going to be so point for BDSA, and Besiktas could be looking to potentially contest that one.
Yep.
Kaori does not have his flash available. He will not have his flash available for this particular dragon. However, Besiktas might be looking for something.
Pikes the just pops the ulti, almost dies in the back end. The skies do descend. It's good damage, but the Super Mega Death Rocket flashed away by Rika. Pikes can't contribute to the fight, has to zone out as Osman with the Crescent Guard is also buying time. But the seismic shove onto Hoon in the backside. The Aqua Prison again. Lock him up. Shouts Paris as BDSA with yet another combination.
The kill is going down. Genex is also pushing towards the top side of the map. There's absolutely no map presence right here for Besiktas. I wanted to mention that once your towers start going down, who are you going to send in the side lane? Sure, you can send your Rek'Sai because he has a lot of tunnels, but you cannot send your Aurelion Soul or your Jinx towards that side lane because they're going to get absolutely demolished by a Talia wall coming down and making it 2 versus 1. That means that a lot of the times you'll see Miru plus the Jinx in the same lane, soaking the same experience in CS. That's why Besiktas is here, fully bundled up, trying to look for an opportunity to press on the wave. Miru gets caught on the side right here. Very questionable positioning by him as well. And even though Besiktas are trying to run further back into their towers, Hoon walks into, gets caught by the lots of CC that BDSA have. And even though we were saying the previous fight was a little bit too close for comfort, with a 6K gold lead towards BDSA, I feel right now they have pretty much solidified their advantages on the map.
Solidified the perfect word. 8,000 gold now, by the way, just to keep you in track and keep you charging forward as to how dominant.
I'm trying to make it still seem competitive.
I know, but look, let's be real. Miru, again, having one of those Barneys, like 1 and 4 on the Aurelion Soul. On control mages, this guy can flip up and down, and he's been caught out by very big proactivity from BDSA, as now in the enemy jungle they go in, 3 members deep, but the damage has been done. Glacial Prison for the disengage as Osman is kited away from by Skumon, who is a level 11 Sejuani with a Randuin's Omen. Great way to make Kaori look like a soggy fish flying in his direction when he auto-attacks.
Soggy fish.
Bro, that guy's flapping, and Skumon's like, all right, get back at the pond.
There is a Nami in the game, I'm just saying.
That's true. That's sashimi, though. Nami, this game, I think, if you want to compare, Paris has been like sashimi you get at a 5-star Japanese restaurant. The chef puts it down and says,
wait,
how
you
about
just
that?
killed the Nami.
Well, no, maybe just a bit of the tail. It's okay.
Great.
She'll grow more.
It's a little part.
Look at the tail. It's huge. Don't worry about it. Cut it off, put it out. Man, I feel like Japanese food. If our production could, if we could sort that out for dinner.
Oh, he's hungry.
I'd be so down. After this game 1, I need fine cuisine. I need to match the quality of gameplay from BDSA, because LFL right now, you guys would be sitting, well, in the same country that I'm currently in, saying, what a treat. This is great. This is actually just quality from BDSA.
15 semifinals in the entirety of EU Masters / EMEA Masters Live. 15 semifinals from LFL teams. 7 wins in the tournament in general.
It's almost 50% ratio. That's insane.
But a lot of these semifinals and finals were LFL versus LFL. That's why the wins are going down.
Excuse the ratio. It's unfair. I need to pause. Miru's flying in for this one. Genax with Dominus available. It could be a bait. Aqua Prison. Very nice from Paris once again. Remember, Kanui's walking in. That's a Genax ultimate. His Dominus through. Miru about to get it as well. The culling in a straight line. He flashes, but only out of sight. Hoon TP's in. Kadui stepping only forward. BDSA on the charge, looking to put the nail in the coffin in 21.5 minutes. This game so rough. He runs forward. I don't blame him. He's still not dead. He's got an army behind him. He's got his team behind him, and he's so damn fed he doesn't have to worry about anything for the rest of this game. Osman charges in, gives over a double, and Lucian Anami is being done right by France.
10,000 gold lead in 22 minutes for BDSA as well. This is most definitely going to be a burned up Swiss team on the Rift. And what dominance? We said they have to. They don't have a choice. They have to win in the early game. They have to be dominant in the mid game. And Besiktas here, they have to try and make a miracle happen, because 10,000 gold lead is not little to come back from. They don't have any chance of getting anywhere near that Baron.
They're just sidestepping all this, but eventually something's going to hit. Acro Prison flashed away from him. Pike, he has nowhere to go. No, Summoner's dead again.
Uh-oh.
And at least Kaori's able to get out, but Baron secured in the end. 12,000 gold now up. Soul up in 3.5 minutes. I don't even know if we're going to get to that at the way this game's going.
Again, props to the bot lane, sure, of BDSA, but Rieger has been everywhere.
Yep.
14 kill participation out of 16 whole kills on the map. He takes this Talia. They pin Mirror down in lane. He's been everywhere. Top lane, bot lane, neutral objectives. This man has had such a resurgence in his development.
I'm going to pause. Oh, White Mirror's just dead. Culling in low range. Fuck this Is that Elk? Elk offline, bit sus. Kadui is
Have you ever seen them in the same room?
I've never seen them in the same room. Quickly on the point of Rika, though. It was you and Initializer had him as MVP from the last series, didn't you? For the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
And I think well-deserved, right? I was big on Skumon, but it was a two-part project. And Rika has been someone who, again, coming into the tournament, a lot of people have been like, this guy, you know, wasn't good enough for LEC, like has a lot of development to go through. I think we've seen a lot of development within the tournament as well. And even though, a lot of the time it's on Talia, we can see that playing through his mid-jungle, playing through himself with Skumon has been a really good duo to highlight.
I feel like Talia is one of these champions where you can actually showcase so much skill level as well. As I'm saying this, Besiktas might be on their last breath here.
Yeah, it's not a Sejuani. I'm looking more at the bottom side. Tidal Wave used. Kadui in again. No culling available. Glacial Prison I just heard off the corner of my screen, so Skumon throws that to keep the cannon minion alive.
Genax, meanwhile.
He is having a pool party bot side. That guy ain't getting in the tub. Instead, just sits outside, and that sounds a little bit creepy, but ignore it, because in the meantime, everyone moves towards mid. Sky Descent is a big one. Death Rocket comes through, but Rika's still alive. They don't have enough damage yet. Osman jumps on in, Crescent Guard out. Miru running in once more as Kadui has culling available once more. Now, that's a pick onto Rika. It still costs the base. Can they get anything more? Genax says, yeah, run on in. It's boys playing with toys. Skumon in the backside, zoning up 3. Culling comes out. There's still a pick there. Besiktas getting more than you'd expect, but Kadui running forward, out of range. Hang on. Hang on. Are we starting to scale? Oh! Maybe we are. It's a trade-off, but the gold goes to Osman. But still 4 members are dead. Besiktas flying through. Miro trying to get something back. BDSA's early game has tipped against them. And even though it's 11.5k gold, Besiktas are still not out of the game randomly.
I don't think you can afford giving any gold or experience or extension of the game away to things like an Aurelion Soul and a Jinx. Let's watch this again because the macro was impeccable. Genax was pushing bot. Skumon stays stopped with a cannon wave Baroned up. And then they also TP mid, ult mid with a Talia to take another tower. Like, that's great. However, you're spreading yourself thin versus a team that's sticking up as a 5-man.
Just run!
And all 3 squishy members just get run over by Besiktas. And here's where it gets a little bit sticky. Genax walks in. Kedui cannot hit. He's getting flanked from the right and also forward. So as much as this Lucian is strong, he can only hit what's in front of him. And as you can see, Besiktas are literally sticking as a 4-man unit. The second this Lucian steps forward, they're just shutting down.
Kaori as well, free hitting and a bit of part of that fight. I mean, no one giving him attention. Jinx is almost 3 items from what I can see. So
this is getting scary.
Bit of a whoopsie. I don't know if we're at scary point yet, but we're definitely at like mild horror.
It was almost 50k gold lead.
Yeah. So I think we're watching like, what's that ghost movie where the child sits on the person's shoulders and you can only see them in the mirror?
Oh, I've watched many scary movies. I don't know that one.
Someone out there can find out. That's what it is. It was mildly terrifying, but it's not the nun, you know? That was spooky. That haunted me for a while. So BDSA still get Cloud Soul.
It's not no paranormal activity yet.
It's not paranormal activity, no. It's no jump scares either.
Oh, powers though.
Osman's caught out, actually. Will he be dying here today? There's Dominus available if they need it. Osman is definitely dead. Baron's not up and available, but it's going to be a 4v5 for a while. Remember, they just got Cloud Soul as well, so their speed drastically increases when they start popping those ultis that we talked about so much in this game already. Yeah,
that's the problem, again, of trying to push in your wave a little bit too far forward. Somebody has to shadow for you, somebody has to cover for you, and especially if you're mirror onto the Aurelion, so you need a +1. The +1 was Osman, and he got caught on the transition. Unfortunately, one man down, and this is where BDSA are going to be running at you full cylinders.
And I'm looking at bot side wave because Hoon was just pushing out, trying to give a bit of alleviation there as Miru flashes away. Skies come down, but it's no dissension. We look at Hoon trying to frontline and buy time, but even he flashes away. Kaori with range, but at half HP, has to be careful. Now, BDSA doing their due diligence. They're not overextending this time. They're not sticking around where their business is not needed. They try and poke off. They get another inhibitor. And now that Osman's here, they have to play it cautious.
Yeah, they're going to get every single inhibitor from the base as well. The mid lane doesn't have any tower. That is 3 inhibitors, double super minions from every single lane. Running towards Besiktas. And again, they do not have any engage from the side of Besiktas. However, they do have 2 remaining towers in their base.
Nice, that's enough.
And a lot of gold that's going to be running into their base. Now, I don't know if that's going to be enough, because all this gold will be baroned up in like about 35 seconds time.
Osman dies here, by the way. I'm looking at him. Look at him. He's like,
oh, you've already decided, okay.
I get it. Oh, wait. Oh, they got him. I told you. There was either him walking down or him walking up and then following. And you know what? They did halfway in between.
You can see the future? That's great.
I sense it.
How's it you going to do at MSI?
Oh, ask me later. I'm like an 8 ball. Ask me later. I'll tell you what's up, though. I could see Baron. It's like I had a timer. And I could see it now spawning and being taken absolutely by BDSA. So even though there's a little bit of running it before, at least I will say Miru with a good ulti, it bought them some time. But BDSA decided to go back in. At least that's been alleviated. And BDSA are back on this steam train once again, shoveling coal to try and get this game one that they also deserve.
Ooh, Genex is trying to go and stop the recalls from the bot side of the map.
Good ulti, but it only slows down.
He finds the Jinx.
Interrupts you. I know you're looking at bot. I'm now shifting gears because Rika just kills Miru. They're doing it by themselves. They're culling out as well into melee range. He has watched Elk. It is him at 12 kills, man. They're playing Lucian Nami right. They're playing their mid jungle as always. And coming into semifinals where Genax is playing around with the meat in the bottom side. BDSA have come here to play in under 30 minutes. But Besiktas couldn't even breathe opening up this semifinals.
Hey, lose fast, win fast. BDSA are one of the most dominant teams we have at EMEA Masters.